So you just became a Jiu-Jitsu Blue Belt. Now you're like, I'm so excited. I'm going to become a ninja and I'm going to be able to learn all the things. And then you quickly realize being a Blue Belt almost feels like it's harder than being a white belt. The expectations are now increased. You're putting more pressure on yourself and you just have no idea what areas you should be starting to focus on as a new Blue Belt. So in today's video, I want to give you guys 5 things to start to consider when you're a brand new Blue Belt to start honing in and focusing on. That way it becomes a lot more of a peaceful Blue Belt journey for you guys. How's it going, everyone? My name is Chasen Hill. I'm a Jiu-Jitsu Black Belt. I've been teaching and training now for over 14 years. So if you guys like all things Jiu-Jitsu, it's probably a pretty good channel for you guys to hit that like and subscribe button down below. Also hit the bell icon. That way you're notified whenever the latest video starts to come out. I have a big goal this year of getting to over 10,000 subscribers in 2024. So help me out. Share a video that you like, share it with your friends and tell them to subscribe. So one thing that I want to clarify here, your path from blue to purple belt is very vast and it's one of the hardest and longest paths that are out there in Jiu-Jitsu. You know, I have a whole video talking about how hard it is to become a purple belt that you guys can check out right here. And I think one thing that people don't consider about Blue Belt is that there is a big difference between a brand new Blue Belt and an experienced Blue Belt or a Blue Belt that's like 3 or 4 stripes. The areas that they probably need to focus on are not identical and they are slightly different. That's how I view it. And that's how I felt personally as a Blue Belt. What I should have focused on as a newer Blue Belt and then as a later Blue Belt were almost 2 different things. So one of the first big areas that I recommend all new Blue Belts start investing some time on the mat and studying is an area called guard retention. Guard retention just is the idea about not letting somebody get around your legs or passing your guard. So this would include the ideas of if someone opens up your closed guard, you're able to break back down their posture and be able to maintain your closed guard. If they do break your closed guard and they start passing, you're able to try to recover the guard position before they end up getting you into a pin. But basically, the objective is to kind of keep your feet or your hips in front of them. And this is a very hard skill to get good at in Jiu-Jitsu. It takes a lot of good body position and body movements that are essential in your overall focus of Jiu-Jitsu. This is an area that I did not spend much time on when I was a newer Blue Belt that now looking back would have greatly benefited me. I have a whole video right here where I talk about 3 very good guard retention drills that you guys can start to focus on if you have no idea where to begin. The next area is going to be focusing on guard sweeps. So you could tell that this newer Blue Belt is going to be very guard heavy. And so some of the reason for this has to do with the first reason of guard retention. One of the main things that will start to happen is as you improve out of your guard retention and you're able to hold people off, you're going to be presented with opportunities to try to sweep them. A lot of times that is where learning your different sweeps from closed guard and open guard and all your different other guards, lasso guard, De La Riva guard, come into handy. When someone is attempting to try to pass your guard and then you're able to recover quickly or you're able to hold them off, one of the best times to potentially start sweeping people is as soon as you retain the guard, because they're usually overextended or they're kind of off balanced or they're not expecting you to now become offensive. And a lot of people have probably heard, well, I should start turning defense into offense, or I want to learn how to turn defense into offense, but they don't really have any idea what that actually means. And a great example of this is going from guard retention to now being able to sweep people right when you have a successful retention. That is, I know, a little bit into the weeds, but you guys are now newer Blue Belts, so you guys should be starting to understand this stuff. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, that's the point. I'm presenting you these thoughts and these ideas so that way you can become curious and start researching and start collecting information. I didn't really have anybody directing me or telling me what areas that I should probably pay attention to first. I was guessing and hoping and taking swings, and most of the time I swung and missed. Here's advice from a black belt saying to focus on guard retention, and then after you get good at guard retention, maybe invest some time in some sweeps. The other reason too for sweeps is because you're probably still being pinned a lot. You're probably still getting your guard passed and you're maybe recovering to a closed guard or to some type of guard, even if you're in a really bad spot. The first place that you're really going to get successful offense is going to be for sweeps as well too. Not that you can't focus on attacks. Sweeping is normally going to be a lot easier to have success with than just catching triangles or catching arm locks or catching chokes. If you had to prioritize, I would prioritize sweeps over attacks as a newer blue belt. If you are a mid blue belt or higher, what is one thing that you wish you would have worked on as a newer blue belt? Leave your answer down in the comments below. Maybe you can help out someone who is a newer blue belt who is struggling. You're giving them guidance and help. So let them know down in the comments below. Area number 3 that I highly recommend that you start to focus on is going to be passing the guard. This is built upon the other 2 areas that I recommended as well too. When you start sweeping people, unless you're an expert at completing the sweep or you're an expert at mastering all the top control, there's going to be a scramble. That's usually a really big area where scrambles start to occur. It's the best chance for your opponent or your training partner to actually escape and recover as well too, is right when the sweep is about to happen. A lot of times that now puts you now passing their guard. For example, if you're playing open guard and you hit like a little dummy sweep or a little double ankle sweep and a person falls down, well, you're not completely on top pinning them yet. You now have to pass their guard from there. As a logical progression, the next area that I recommend newer blue belts start to kind of dive into is passing the guard, because you'll also be training with other skill levels too. You're still going to be training people who you're just a little bit better than, and they're going to be putting you in those guard positions because it's their last line of defense. Now you're getting the chance to really refine your guard passing. You want to find the passes that you like. You want to learn the difference between how to use the gi and not use the gi, and what the difference is between a Toriando and a knee cut pass. You can start investing some time into actually training those positions. And then the next big area is going to be the standing position. One thing about the standing position is that it's very broad. When people say standing, there are so many factors to doing that. And I think a lot of students, especially when you're a newer blue belt, they mistake standing as only being one thing. They mistake it as the actual takedown, getting somebody's hips or butt or back to the ground. And that is a massive part. That's actually how you score the points, or that we would deem a successful takedown. However, there's a lot of other things that you should start to maybe focus on before that action. Actual finish of the takedown is very difficult. It's one of the, I think, hardest things to get good at in all of grappling. One area that I recommend newer blue belts start to focus on just in the standing portion is your grips and stance. Just figure out why you're standing in the position. Why are you putting your left foot forward versus your right foot? Why are you grabbing the wrist versus grabbing a collar tie or necktie? What are you actually doing before the actual takedown occurs? And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, that's the point. You should spend time just understanding the stances and the grip fighting and things of that nature. Why would you do a 2-on-1 versus double wrist grips or collar tie? Those are things that you can invest time in without the actual finishing part. So one thing that I recommend a lot of blue belts do is just grip fight. Don't even worry about if you take somebody down or not. Just focus on the grip fighting aspect. Okay, I'm getting my grip. If they clear it, great. If I can't get it, why did I not get it? Okay, I'm focusing on my stance. And that's going to start to translate and help everything else about your standing aspect. If you don't have any knowledge in that realm, I highly recommend maybe that's what you spend some time researching, is figuring out, oh, why did I do left foot versus right foot forward? Why would I choose to grab this grip versus that grip? Honestly, there's not really like a best stance or a best grip. It becomes about preference at a certain point. Now, there are better ones for newer people to learn just because of the ease and the simplicity of them. But ultimately, you're going to have to be the decision maker. You're going to have to be the director behind your own camera and start making these decisions. But I would just focus on that area of stance and gripping over everything else about the takedown whenever you're first starting to explore this area. The last few set of big things are kind of more habits that I recommend blue belts start to focus on first. One thing is use less strength and less explosiveness. In the beginning of your career, when you were a white belt, you needed every ounce of explosiveness and strength that you had in order to fight off someone who knew more than you. Because you are lacking in knowledge, you're trying to make up with a physical asset. But now that you're a blue belt, even though you have more skill and you're like, well, I can use my skill and my strength and explosiveness together. I hear what you're saying, and in theory, that makes sense. But what it does, it just creates you using more bad habits. Your strength and explosiveness is eventually going to run out. And there are times to train for that, especially if you're getting ready for a tournament or you're getting ready for some kind of an event, you can train that way. But personally, I don't think that's a great habit to develop. You want to be able to be efficient with your techniques, and you want to be smoother with your techniques. That's ultimately how you're going to build an actual bigger gas tank for rolling. Most of the time, the reason why people start to lose gas in jiu-jitsu has nothing to do with their cardiovascular system. Most people are plenty healthy to actually do 30 minutes to an hour of rolling. What it is that they're very inefficient at their movement. You're contracting every single muscle. So when you're contracting every muscle, your muscle needs oxygen. There'll be certain positions that you're going to have to get good at chilling and relaxing and recovering. So the easiest way that I tell students to start to develop this habit is find those little chill spots and think about it that you're not being boring. You're being analytical. You're trying to analyze the actual position and you're trying to approach it a little bit more intelligently. Not every single training round has to be a death roll. Not every single training round has to be action-packed. Save that for competition day. There's a reason why it's called training. You're training to get better at something. So this is ultimately actually how you build, like I said, that bigger gas tank, and you're able to go from 15 minutes of rolling to 30 minutes of rolling to how you can see guys who are rolling for hours and hours at a time. It's not because they have this amazing cardiovascular shape. Yes, it is probably better than your average, but they're a lot more efficient at how they're moving. They're a lot more efficient with their muscle contraction. They're not squeezing on every single move and holding and thinking of it as a death roll. No, they're very much flowing in and out. They're finding relaxed positions to chill out in. Start to develop those training habits as a jiu-jitsu blue belt, especially when you're a newer blue belt. It's never too early to start. So that's going to wrap up this video here today for you guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. So make sure you're starting to work on these few things, especially if you are a newer blue belt. Shoot, some of you more experienced blue belts might need to work on it as well too. Make sure you grab my free acceleration guide that's down in the bottom. It goes over 5 steps on how to really start to accelerate your jiu-jitsu by learning how to use your training environment, your training partners, and really just train a lot more efficient for your jiu-jitsu. Also, if you're looking for help and you need some coaching, you can apply to be my coaching program down below as well. So stick around, check out one of these 2 videos that's going to pop up right here, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one.